Good evening. I'm John Batchelor. This is The John Batchelor Show. Cory Booker, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Cory Booker is going to win. That's a headline in the Washington Post, but I think we would all agree with it. Why? Money, celebrity, and right now he's handled the primary for the New Jersey Senate seat, and there will be a special election very competently. He's good in politics, retail politics. Why this matters? Within these last days, there have been reports in major media, I'm looking at the New York Times and the New York Post, that Cory Booker has a business side to him. That's fresh, that's good. Politicians who have business acumen are welcome. But that business acumen reaches back to Stanford University. He attended Stanford. He's gifted and he's educated and he's extremely able, very well spoken. And his friends in Silicon Valley. Has Silicon Valley found itself a senator? Bill Whalen of the Hoover Institution at Stanford University, very close to Silicon Valley. In fact, some would say Silicon Valley is, in fact, a cover story for Stanford University is here. Bill, a very good evening to you. Senator Cory Booker of Silicon Valley. Do you like it, Bill? Does Silicon Valley need a senator? Good evening.
Good evening, John. Yeah, Silicon Valley does need a senator. Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer, the two senators from California, curiously are not that tied into the valley as you would think. They care about it from a constituency standpoint, but California is a big state and they have a lot of constituencies. So I'd say the tech community is looking for other voices and other leaders. And Booker, assuming he does come into the Senate come October, which seems pretty much like a slam dunk right now, he could be that person.
He raises money very ably, and therein lies a question. He has a company called Waywire. I've just been to the site. It's an aggregating site of videos, nothing you can't see on BuzzFeed or YouTube, you know, the 10 things that were said on Breaking Bad last night. Do you really need to go to Waywire for this? However, we're told that very early on, this was Mr. Booker's idea, and his friends, which include Oprah Winfrey and Eric Schmidt of Google and other famous names in Silicon Valley, all wrote checks to Waywire, the startup. Startup said to be in trouble. Startup said to be either for sale or to be closed down soon enough. Is this a problem for Cory Booker in the Senate, Bill, that he, what you'd have to say, gathered celebrity money before he became a celebrity senator?
In the big picture, no. This is not the sort of thing that it's a hanging offense that you're going to see him end up, being prosecuted for or pay any kind of penalty for. But I think it points out two things about Cory Booker. Number one is he really is a beautiful people's candidate. Today, Cory Booker did a bus tour, a last-minute bus tour of New Jersey, which you might say is overkill. He's going to get 50% of the vote tomorrow, I'd guess, and that's being a conservative about it. On the bus tour was Eva Longoria. Sort of the beautiful person in Democratic politics. There she is stumping for Cory Booker. You mentioned the startup, Eric Schmidt, the founder of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner is involved in it, and of course Oprah, who's more beautiful than Oprah in terms of beautiful people politics. And this is interesting to look at because we have a president of the United States who got elected in part on this concept. He is sort of the beautiful person's ideal. And that's, I think, what's worth noting here. So much attention is paid to Cory Booker in terms of the promise of Cory Booker. Here's somebody in Newark, New Jersey, who does remarkable things like connecting with Mark Zuckerberg and getting a lot of money in for the school system. Here's a man who heroically goes into buildings and rescues people from fires. But what the press doesn't tell you, there's always a downside to these stories. For example, when he went in to rescue the woman in the building that was on fire, he had in his budget just recently closed 3 fire departments within Newark. So it's, what this is getting at, I think, is a question of how the press wants to look at Booker. Booker has been about as spotless clean of a politician as can be, just this exalted knight riding into the Senate and probably riding into national politics. But as you see at the beginning with the website, another story which came out just this past week, John, about Booker still getting money from his law firm, which was doing business with Newark, and Booker refusing to disclose how much exactly he got, which makes him sound awfully political, and was at odds when he first ran for the mayor. He looks more like a politician, and that makes him sort of a disappointing figure. And it begs the question, when he goes to Washington as a senator, can he still maintain this exalted status, or will he just sort of slowly morph into the Washington landscape as just another politician?
Mrs. Clinton on a speaking tour, the American Bar Association conference today. She was well rewarded. Good for her. She's a national politician. We have reason to believe she's looking at the White House. She has Potomac fever. Her subject was hardly controversial, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, much in the news these days. I mention her immediately, Bill, and you know why, because Mrs. Clinton's going to need a running mate in 2016.
Right.
Does Cory Booker look like a running mate to you?
I think there are probably two people to look at, and one is the very attractive mayor of San Antonio, also a Stanford person, Julian Castro, and the other being Cory Booker. And what does Cory Booker bring to the ticket? Three things. One is obviously the gender balance, but second is race. Hillary Clinton lost the nomination in 2008 because along came Barack Obama, who scooped up the youth vote and minority vote. Hillary needs to reach back to that base.
Cory Booker's 44 years old. Go ahead, Bill.
Right, and that's the third factor, John, the generational aspect. Hillary Clinton will be 69 years old in 2016, so it helps to have somebody 25 years younger on the ticket who can reach the millennials, reach Gen X, and talk, generation to generation with them. It's just kind of the natural ticket balance.
I like it. I like Cory Booker and Hillary Clinton. That's New York and New Jersey, but not really. Mrs. Clinton's a national candidate. Now, this business about Waywire and this question about clarity of the law firm, he says that he left in 2006, but he kept getting checks from for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Right.
Is that a problem for the national ticket?
It's not a problem for the national ticket, John, in terms of looking at it and thinking, holy smokes, what a skeleton, we can't accommodate that. But again, I think it begs the question of how the press starts looking at Cory Booker. Mm-hmm. Is he indeed this person who's kind of above reproach? Is he just this too good to be true person? Or the closer that you look at some of his financial dealings, the closer you look at his performance as mayor of Newark in terms of what he did in accomplishment, is he really, does he live up to the hype?
And the Democratic Party, do they believe that combination is where they're going with the politics right now? It did very well in 2008, did very well in 2012 to go to a major city, Chicago in this instance, or Newark, and go for what used to be called a minority, although a Stanford graduate is no minority of anything. It's the elite of America. Right. And to combine youth with experience. That would be the Obama-Biden ticket. So in this case, it would be the Clinton-Cory Booker ticket. They've just sort of turned it upside down, but if you consider succession, it's the same ticket. Is that the Democratic Party today? They're saying to the Republicans, you couldn't beat us before. How are you going to beat this one?
Well, it is a funny disconnect in that she is a Wellesley undergrad in Yale Law and Cory Booker is Stanford undergrad in Yale Law. So these are not exactly people of the dirt.
No.
They do have rather elite backgrounds. But that's, in part the attraction for the ticket for the Democrats. They obviously would play the gender card, and they could also play the race card with Cory Booker. But the one thing I caution when we start talking about Hillary Clinton in 2016, I just wrote a column about this today on the Hoover Institution's website, hoover.org, is if you go back and historically, John, and look at candidates who tried to replace an 8-year president, one person who's held the job for 8 years, the person from the same party trying to replace him, it's a pretty miserable track record of success. George Bush did it in 1988.
Right.
John McCain failed at it in 2008. Al Gore failed at it in 2000. Richard Nixon failed at it in 1960.
And so Mrs. Clinton then running for 3 years, the next 3 years, will she go through a library of running mates? I think the age is the major factor here, Bill. She's going to make history as a woman being president, but the age is a problem in the age of social media and very fast decisions. Is Cory Booker the first of what you'd have to say the celebrities she'll look at?
I think so, and I think Castro from Texas is another one to look at, and just, again, a series of younger politicians. But, it's a good question, John, as to how exactly the media will play the age card with Hillary Clinton, because, in part, she is a woman, and the press are not very comfortable with talking about...
They're going to play the age card, Bill. I feel the age. They'll play it. It's okay. It's a good card to play. Ronald Reagan's famous remark, let me see if I can recover it with Bill's help, when Mr. Mondale brought it up in 1984 that he wouldn't hold his youth against him. Wasn't it like that, Bill?
Yeah, I won't hold my opponent's youth and inexperience against him.
Bill Whalen of the Hoover Institution, his column on Hillary Clinton. We're looking ahead, I know, but we got caught by surprise with Barack Obama in 2004, 5, 6, and 7. Never again. Cory Booker going to the United States Senate from New Jersey. When it's a primary tomorrow, the special election is this fall. Waywire is the name of his company. It worked. They'll close it. I'm John Batchelor. This is The John Batchelor Show.